November 24th, 1971, the day before Thanksgiving. More than 30 passengers boarded what appeared to be an ordinary flight from Portland to Seattle. For most of them, it would be a short and forgettable journey. But one passenger had no intention of reaching Seattle as an ordinary traveler. He carried no obvious weapon. He raised no alarm. He made no threats. Instead, he calmly handed a flight attendant a folded note. Within minutes, the routine flight had become a hostage situation. A man had hijacked a Boeing 727. He wanted money, parachutes, and a chance to disappear. His name was Dan Cooper, or at least that was the name written on his ticket. More than 50 years later, investigators still do not know who he really was. They do not know where he came from. They do not know whether he survived, and they still cannot explain how he vanished after jumping from a moving aircraft into the darkness. To the world, he became known as D.B. Cooper, and his disappearance remains unsolved. Plane hijacker escapes with $200. The man appeared to be in his mid-40s. He wore a business suit, a white shirt, and a black tie. He looked like a businessman traveling before the holiday weekend. At the Portland airport, he purchased a one-way ticket to Seattle under the name Dan Cooper. He then boarded Northwest Orient Airlines, Flight 305. Inside the aircraft, he sat near the rear staircase. He ordered a bourbon and soda. Then he lit a cigarette and calmly waited for takeoff. To everyone around him, he appeared completely ordinary. But beneath that calm exterior was a carefully planned operation. The note claimed that Cooper had a bomb inside his briefcase. He instructed the flight attendant to sit beside him. Then he opened the case. Inside were wires and red-colored objects. Whether the bomb was real has never been proven. But the threat was convincing. Cooper gave the flight attendant his demands. He wanted $200,000 in $20 bills, and he wanted 4 parachutes. The note was taken to the cockpit. The pilots immediately contacted authorities on the ground, but the plane continued toward Seattle. Officials began preparing the ransom, $200,000 in cash. The serial numbers of every bill were recorded. 4 parachutes were also collected. No one knew exactly what Cooper intended to do. But one thing was becoming clear. He did not plan to remain in Seattle. As the aircraft circled above the airport, the ransom was delivered. Cooper had one final condition. The passengers had to be released. The plane landed in Seattle. The ransom money and parachutes were brought aboard. One by one, the passengers left the aircraft. They had no idea that their flight had been hijacked. By the time they reached the terminal, Cooper had received everything he requested. The passengers were free, but the crew remained on board, and the hijacking was only beginning. Cooper ordered the pilots to take off again. His destination was Mexico City, but the aircraft did not have enough fuel to fly that far without stopping, so Cooper instructed the crew to head south. The aircraft would fly at a low altitude and reduce speed. The rear staircase would remain available. Below them was the vast wilderness of the Pacific Northwest, mountains, forests, rivers, and darkness. Inside the cabin, Cooper checked the money bag and prepared the parachutes. Shortly after 8 o'clock that evening, somewhere between Seattle and Reno, something changed. The rear staircase was lowered. Wind rushed into the cabin. The crew remained near the cockpit. Cooper was alone at the back of the plane. He had the ransom money, he had a parachute, and he had one final decision to make. Then he stepped into the darkness and jumped. The pilots did not see him leave. They only knew that the aircraft had changed when a warning light indicated that the rear staircase had moved. The plane continued toward Reno. When it landed, Cooper was gone. He had disappeared with the ransom money. The search began immediately, but investigators did not know exactly where Cooper had jumped. The aircraft had been flying through clouds, the wind was strong, and the wilderness below was enormous. Search teams examined forests, roads, rivers, and mountain slopes. They looked for a parachute, a body, a money bag, anything that could reveal where Cooper had landed, but nothing was found. No clear trail, no confirmed sighting, no explanation. The FBI opened an investigation known as NORJAC, short for Northwest Hijacking. Hundreds of people were interviewed. Thousands of leads were followed, but Cooper remained missing. Over the years, investigators examined hundreds of suspects. Some had military experience, some knew how to parachute. Others had disappeared after the hijacking. One suspect, Richard Floyd McCoy, became especially famous. Only months after Cooper's disappearance, McCoy carried out a similar aircraft hijacking and escaped by parachute, but investigators eventually ruled him out. He did not match the descriptions provided by the flight attendants, and so the mystery continued. The man behind the name Dan Cooper had no confirmed identity. For almost 9 years, there was no confirmed sign of Cooper. Then, in 1980, a young boy discovered something buried near the Columbia River. It was a rotting package filled with $20 bills. The serial numbers matched the ransom money. The total amount was $5,800. It was the only confirmed portion of the ransom ever recovered. The discovery created a new mystery. Had Cooper buried the money? Had it been carried downstream? Had someone else found it? Or had Cooper survived and hidden part of the ransom? No one knows. The FBI has suggested that Cooper may not have survived. He jumped at night. His clothing was poorly suited to a rough landing. The parachute he used could not easily be steered, and below him was a dangerous wilderness. But survival is still possible. Perhaps he had more experience than investigators believed. Perhaps he landed safely. Perhaps he escaped before authorities knew where to search. There is no confirmed answer, only theories. Even the name D.B. Cooper may be part of the mystery. The hijacker purchased his ticket under the name Dan Cooper. The initials D.B. were apparently created by the press, but the incorrect name became permanent, and history remembered him as D.B. Cooper. In 2016, after decades of investigation, the FBI redirected its resources away from the case. But the mystery was never solved. No one was charged, no confirmed body was found, and the ransom money was never fully recovered. D.B. Cooper may have died in the wilderness that night. He may have landed safely and lived the rest of his life under another name. He may have told someone the truth, or perhaps the answer disappeared with him. One man hijacked a plane. He collected $200,000. He jumped into the darkness, and then he vanished. More than 5 decades later, the identity of D.B. Cooper remains unknown. His fate remains uncertain, and the legend remains alive.